Neighbors are some of those fighting a city plan to demolish the historic water reservoirs in Washington Park.
And they argue that construction will have a negative effect on a whole lot more people than just them. Chris Woodard live at City Hall, where demolition is now being heard, at least the plans for demolition. Chris?
Yeah, and today's hearing just one step in this process, and you just mentioned a lot of this fight coming from neighbors who are worried this will snarl traffic, and they say cause problems not just for them, but for anyone trying to get into or out of the city and that part of the west side. Today, there is work underway at Washington Park. But I found neighbors fear this is nothing compared to what the city has planned.
My biggest concern is the traffic pileups that I fear we're going to see.
The city has plans to demolish these historic reservoirs and create underground water storage. I looked into it, and that means a 4-year project and blocking one of only 2 exits out of the park, funneling all traffic, visitors, those who live here, commuters, all down the same path.
Feeding off a hairpin turn onto Burnside, which is crowded enough as it is on a typical weekday. And this will just multiply that congestion, who knows how many fold.
Add to that the increased construction traffic. Heavy trucks they're expecting to roll by every 4 or 5 minutes.
Not just on the neighborhood residents who live there, but everybody coming in and out of town from on the west side there, down Burnside, is going to be stuck as traffic from Tickner tries to get in and out.
Well, concerned about the traffic, some of those I talked to in the neighborhood do like the plans for reflecting pools and more public access to the area once that construction is complete. But these are historic structures, and some don't want them touched.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. There are so many options.
They argue the city shouldn't need the underground storage, and at the very least should just disconnect the reservoirs but fill them up and leave them as a sort of pond.
Why would you demolish these historic structures that have been upgraded at, expense to ratepayers when you don't need the storage?
I did go to the city today for some answers about why this is all happening in the first place. I'm told it all goes back to that controversial federal ruling and opinion that the city needs to cover up the drinking water supply. I also found out that regardless of today's vote, no demolition is going to begin up there until the construction plans for what that site will look like afterward, are approved. That will be another step in this process. Live downtown, I'm Chris Woodard for KOIN 6 News.
And so emotional. You can look at old vintage postcards of Portland, and they'll show the park, and you'll see those reservoirs there. I mean, they were quite